OK, tonight, another outbreak. No, not the virus this time. Well, it's related to the virus, but this is good news. There have been some outbreaks of common sense today. I'm pleased to report for a change. Let's start with that ridiculous hard border splitting the twin cities of Coolangatta and Tweed Heads. We've shown you the silly, heartless and embarrassing pictures from Father's Day. We've shown you the sisters, one trapped on the wrong side of the border, unable to get home, while kids jump the border to get to school. And other media too have highlighted the absurdity of this barrier between two COVID-free communities.
Mum's 80 and her health is really bad. She lives in Surface and we're in Murwillumbah. I haven't seen her since June. So we never know when's the last time we're going to see each other.
80 years old, in ill health, and to meet up at the wall is the only way to see your great-grandkids.
Grandbabies. They didn't tell me that the babies were coming. They hid under there. And,
We've just been missing
I nearly had a heart attack when they jumped up.
Leon lives in Tugun, but his daughter goes to school across the border in Tweed Heads, meaning she's homeschooling while Queensland kids are back in class.
Some country, hey? Well, the good news is that border bubble is going back in place for that community. New South Wales and Queensland, the two governments have gotten together and organised to reinstate a border bubble. You know, treating human beings with humanity and behaving as if we are actually one country. A good step back to some sort of normality starting Monday. It'll be complicated, of course, and nowhere near as good as just opening the border altogether, but it's a move in the right direction. Now, over the past week or so, there's been an unannounced common sense change creeping into the daily New South Wales pandemic updates too. And that is the revelation of more details about the fatalities, not just their vaccination status, but the existence of underlying conditions or not. Now, this doesn't diminish the sadness of any death, of course, but it does do more to communicate the reality of who's at risk and what most healthy young adults and children do not have to fear. And building on that, there was an announcement today from the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian that I've been hoping for many, many weeks. An end to the daily updates from the Premier. These briefings that tend to catastrophise the situation and certainly give the impression that there's no other issue, no other challenge confronting our governments and our people.
From next week, I don't know how this will be received, but the 11 a.m. information will be done by health staff through video link, as occurred before, and Minister Hazzard or I will intermittently hold press conferences as required. So the weekend, Sunday will be the last day we officially do the press conferences in this way, but from Monday at 11 a.m, Health will provide their daily updates with all the figures, and myself or Minister Hazzard or any other relevant minister will present to the community on a needs basis.
Look, some media will whinge. They've already started, but we're all going to get the information we need. And if we want to hear from the Premier, there will be other interviews, other press conferences. The timing is a bit awkward because the situation is expected to be pretty tough in coming weeks. But I would have ended these briefings weeks ago. In fact, I don't think any Premier should have ever started doing these briefings every day. It only creates an unhelpful sense of crisis when we need to just be getting on with dealing with reality. Still, as you'd expect, some people are critical. And here's the other point of view, put pretty cogently by the opposition leader.
Considering we're about to go into October, which will be the toughest month in the history of public health in this state, I think the Premier needs to reconsider this one and go back to that 11 o'clock press conference. It's important that we understand what's going on in the state. The New South Wales Parliament hasn't gone back. We're the only jurisdiction in the entire country that doesn't have parliamentary democracy at the moment. Victoria has it, even though they're dealing with the Delta outbreak at the moment in their state. So no parliament for politicians to question the executive, no press conferences for the media to do it as well.
Yeah, look, a lot of people will agree with that, but I don't. I just don't think there'll be any shortage of information or scrutiny, especially when Parliament goes back. Just a bit more proportion and normality. I've noticed that even Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews has not fronted the media as often in recent weeks, sometimes leaving it to his health minister. That's sensible. That's getting back to some sort of normality. Now, some of you will be saying that I'm downplaying this situation, but I don't think that's what's happening here. The pandemic is serious. We all know that. The ongoing management is a big challenge, but it'll be going on for months and years to come. The strains on our health system will peak in coming months. There's no doubt about all that. But we've been planning for all this for a year and a half. We've myriad other challenges to get on with for kids and schools, for the economy, for our international security. We need to keep calm and carry on. And that's what Gladys Berejiklian is doing, again, leading the way on how to deal with this pandemic.